DonInLondon here again, and it's still 21st of April 2009, time just about 20 past 8, and I've just done a video, or my daily video, but I seem to have more to say just at the moment, and it follows on from what I was saying really in my last video, that change is everything in the art of living and getting into recovery from addiction either to substance and behaviour. So DonInLondon, my video is all about recovery from addiction to substance and behaviour. Living in the day, living in this one moment of now, provides a spiritual connection to life and reality, and reality is spiritual, it's the absolute truth of now. So we all have filters and denials in us, and for us who have become addicted to substance and behaviour, our lack of ability to get back in touch with reality is almost complete, and it takes a lot to get out of an impossible situation. And one of the things I often need reminding, and every time a newcomer comes in, or every time a person comes back to the fellowship of AA, that's Alcoholics Anonymous, the journey back into sobriety is quite difficult, because as we may have done it once before, then returning with all the knowledge to drinking and knowing what the outcome will be, and then having it confirmed as the worst of all realities, that we're stuck back in isolation, excluded and unable to cope. Who wants to do that? And this is the trouble with the illness of addiction. We don't have control over it, and we are powerless over it, and if we don't follow some very simple steps, we find ourselves back in trouble yet again. So whenever we try to use our willpower, it often fails us. Whenever we're caught in a dark moment on our own, we can find ourselves reaching for oblivion very, very quickly. So the 24-hour chip, this is it's very hard to show it on here without it. That little chip, it just says 24 hours a day on it. Yeah, you can see it there. And the triangle on that says unity, service and recovery, which is what the fellowship is founded on: unity, service and recovery. And then round the outside it says, to thine own self be true, 24 hours. And on the back of it is the serenity prayer, just on the back of there. And I keep that normally in my back pocket, but what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to make a little hole in the top of the triangle and stick it on with the other chip I have, my chip which has no dates on whatsoever. It just says, it's just a chip which says, really, I'm an alcoholic. If I fall over, please don't give me a drink. If I look like I'm stunned or unable to do something, don't try to give me a reviver. So that's also true because I'm type 1 diabetic as well. So a slug of alcohol for me is probably even 10 times worse. I don't know. I have no clue because I've never tried it. And hopefully, if life goes all right a day at a time, I will never try it again. But never say never. And the most important thing about recovery is if we fall off the wagon, we need to get back on it as fast as we can. Otherwise, life becomes dangerous and difficult, not only for ourselves but for the people around us, because they can't trust us anymore. So, yeah, we have to live and learn, and we have to be extremely forgiving of ourselves and other people, and especially for people who don't understand alcoholism or addiction, who think it's just a lack of willpower. And those who can run on self-will and get away with it, well, good for them, good indeed. But I tried it, self-will, it ran riot, and it got me back drinking again. So I don't want to go there. And the reason why I want to just do this video is to share what was said in the meeting last night. It comes from the 12 steps and 12 traditions, and it was step 12 in the meeting, which is the final 12th step of the action program. And the beauty is all these 12 steps only work in the day. So once you've learned them and experienced them and keep on experiencing them, they all mean different things in different days, but they are action steps, not sit back and say you've graduated steps. No one graduates from AA until you go to sleep at night, and then you've recovered for another day, and then you're back in recovery the next one. So AA, what is it? And this is the preamble shared at every meeting, so I put it on every video. It slows me down into the moment. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes, and it doesn't support my videos, nor should it. These are just an independent way of me looking at my life, getting experience, strength and hope, and sharing it here. So our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And that's most important. AA only exists for one reason, and that's sobriety. And then we try and make our lives work. We stay unique, authentic people. And with any luck, we get a unique and authentic life. And provided we stay sober. And we don't fall back into the addiction where we are dependent or codependent on drink, or we make drink our higher power yet again, because it affords oblivion from the pain of life. Or, in short bursts, it gives a lot of pleasure, and then we suddenly realise, why did it bite us on the backside? And that is because we are not able to control it. So, the thing I want to read out comes from step 12 in this bit, step 12. In the 12 by 12, I have plugged the books because they work for me when I can't get to meetings. And in the 12th step, it gives a summary of the 12 steps themselves and how they work. And I want to share it now. And I know it's not about the fearless moral inventory, but I think it's good. And it keeps me on track. AA's manner of making ready to receive this gift lies in the practice of the 12 steps in our program. So let's consider briefly what we have been trying to do up to this point. Step 1 showed us an amazing paradox. We found that we were totally unable to be rid of the alcohol obsession until we first admitted that we were powerless over it. In step 2 we saw that since we could not restore ourselves to sanity, some higher power must necessarily do so if we were to survive. Consequently, in step 3 we turned our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. That's our own personal understanding, whether we have one or not. For the time being, we who were atheist or agnostic discovered that our own group, or AA as a whole, would suffice as a higher power. Beginning with step 4, which is what April's all about, we commenced to search out the things in ourselves which had brought us to physical, moral and spiritual bankruptcy. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory. Looking at step 5, we decided that an inventory taken alone wouldn't be enough. We knew we would have to quit the deadly business of living alone with our conflicts, and in honesty confide these to God and to another human being. At step 6, many of us balked, for the practical reason that we did not wish to have all our defects of character removed, because we still loved some of them too much. Yet we knew we had to make a settlement with the fundamental principle of step 6. So we decided that while we still had flaws of character that we could not yet relinquish, we ought nevertheless to quit our stubborn, rebellious hanging on to them. We said to ourselves, this I cannot do today, but I can stop crying out, no, never. Then in step 7 we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings, such as he would or could if under the conditions of the day we asked. So again, it's always on the day, not in any other way. In step 8 we continued our house cleaning, for we saw that we were not only in conflict with ourselves, but also with people and situations in the world in which we lived. We had to begin to make our peace, and so we listed the people we had harmed and became willing to set things right. We followed this up in step 9 by making direct amends to those concerned, except when it would injure them or other people. By this time, at step 10, we had begun to get the basis for daily living, and we keenly realised that we would need to continue taking personal inventory, and that when we were wrong we ought to admit it promptly. In step 11 we saw that if a higher power had restored us to sanity and had enabled us to live with some peace of mind in a sorely troubled world, then such a higher power was worth knowing better by as direct contact as possible. The persistent use of meditation and prayer we found did open the channel, so that where there had been a trickle, there was now a river which led to sure power and safe guidance from God or good conscience, as we were increasingly better able to understand him. So practicing these steps we had a spiritual awakening about which finally there was no question. Looking at those who were only beginning and still doubted themselves, the rest of us were able to see the change setting in. From great numbers of such experiences we could predict that the doubter who still claimed he hadn't got the spiritual angle, and who still considered his well-loved AA group the higher power, would presently love God and call him by name. And you know what? If it works, it works it. So When I say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, it's only and always just for today.